Alright, hello guys, welcome back to another Selector tier list video. I know this tier list video is a bit overdue, but I literally just came back from an overseas trip, and the moment I came back, the first thing I did was to just record this video. This is the earliest I could put this Selector tier list video out, and I hope it helps you guys to choose the Selector, to choose the unit you want from this Selector. Because I think if you guys claim it the moment it was given, it actually still has about 2 days left. Or 3 days rather, 2 days something. So I think you still have time to decide. So I hope this tier list selector video helps you decide your choice. So I will first talk about the PvP aspects. I think most of the units here are basically all PvP aspects anyways. So let's just start off quickly with Zio. I think Zio is if you are looking to play for PvP, I think Zio is the best unit to choose from this selector. Because he's just too unique, right? He is just too unique. He does so many things. He blocks any openers, he can, activate cleave. He's just a crazy unit. So for PvP, I think Zio is the #1 option, if you don't already have him, of course. And then secondly, we have Strays. Strays is up here because he's a good aggro unit, he's a good cleave unit. He can play with like basically any comp, so long as he is fast enough, or he can take a turn with like any other opener. And not just PvP, right? Because of PvE aspect as well. He can do a lot of one-shots with different setups, like for Banshee, for Wyvern, for like some other PvE content. I'm not too sure, but he's definitely on the same level as Zio, just because of what he can do in like PvP and PvE aspects. So Strays is definitely a unit that you want to pick up as well after Zio. And then after Strays, you have Berlin. I would say Berlin is almost S tier as well, just because of what she can do. She can block souls, she has 3F, she can do a big ton of damage, AoE, everything, anti-cleave unit. I think Berlin should be up S tier, but because she's being compared to Zio and Strays, I think she moved down to a tier below, right? So Berlin is only for PvP usage. For PvE, I don't think she's any good at all. But I must say, if you're a rather new player, if you don't have 3F, I think Berlin is probably not A tier. I think she is probably B tier. If you don't have 3F. Like, if you don't have 3F, you can build her like counter Elbris, counter Holy Sack, something like that on the creep build. It's not too bad, but if you're on 3F, it's just way better. Just way better, because you do about the same damage. You have way more bulk. You can prioritize speed, you can prioritize immunity, other stats, right? So, you have 3F, she's definitely up here. But if you don't have 3F, then she might just move down to like a B tier or something. Or you could just pick her first and pray that they might rerun another 3F artifact like they did to Tachi and stuff, right? So you can do that too. And next you have Hasedi. I would say Hasedi, if you don't plan to play with Hasedi open, like if you pre-ban Hasedi most of the time, just don't pick her. Honestly, just don't pick her. Because I think she's only good for what? Like Guild War defense, Arena defense, if you care about that. If you don't really care about that, for RTA wise, if you pre-ban her, then you don't have to care about her. But if you don't pre-ban her, I would say you don't really need to have her when you open her in RTA, right? Cause I don't think she's that good nowadays anyways. There are a lot of counters. I can't say this confidently myself because I pre-ban her Sedi ever since she came out, so I can't really give you a very good verdict on her Sedi gameplay. But there are some times I open her Sedi just to play some other comps that I haven't played before. Like Setsuka, for example, recently. And I can say that leaving Ascenti open doesn't really change much. It just blocks you from picking some openers, and that's about it. She's honestly not that good because of the up and coming counters to her, right? There are more and more units introduced that counter her, like for example, Aram counters her, Young Senya counters her, Setsuka. If you play well with Evasion, technically also counters her, so like... And you also have to deal with speed tuning, right? So it's basically like cleaving, like racing. It's just speed RNG at the end of the day. So Hasani is kind of a whatever unit. You don't really need her if you don't plan to play her. And then last but not least, you have Archdemon Shadow. She's an alright unit. I only put her B tier because these four are just better than her, so she's just over here. But if I were to put her in the RTA tier list with like every other unit, I think she'll be A tier. She's a pretty decent unit now that a lot of units rely on their passive, like for example like Setsuka, Emeru, right? She has a Summon Ignore ER Seal, which is really strong. She's weak to a lot of aggro and cleave setups, so it's gonna be a bit hard to play her compared to the other four. But if you already have the other four, of course, you can go for Archdemon Shadow, right? Always go for the unit that you don't already have to complete your journal. Don't go for dupes first. just complete your journal. If you already have 5 of them, then we are moving on to the dupes. But just an extra tip, if you want to play Archdemon Shadow, I think you should only pick her if you like a counter playstyle or you play aggro, because she can hold book, so she actually can be used in an aggro playstyle as well. Okay, so moving on to the dupe ML5 boss selector tier list. I would say for S tier we have Strays and Balian, just because they can play like multiple builds, right? So for Strays, for example, you can have 3 copies, honestly. So number 1, the speed aggro, right? Speed 270, 260 speed, 4k attack, 300 crit damage, just full damage, right? Full fast Strays and damage. That's like the normal build, that's a standard build. And then you can build a second Strays to combo with like Armid or something, like triple Torrent, Torrent crit, Torrent crit full damage, 5k attack, 350 crit damage, something like that. 180 speed around there, just to pair with like Armid or even ARAM, right? Or even like against Hasedi comps in Cube War or Arena, that works too. So you can go for a dupe Strays if you are looking to play along those lines. And last but not least, we have a third Strays. That's just for PvE, right? It's just luxury if you plan to, I don't know, play like every Strays in the game. So, I mean, now that they made unequipped free, I don't think you need the third Strays, but like, you know, once again, luxury, right? If you want to have it, you can have it. But most of the time, it's just 2 Strays. One for the Armid cleave and one for like the normal speed aggro cleave. But yeah, moving on with Balian. Balian is up here because she's a knight. She's honestly just here because she's a knight. You can build her as an Aureus unit as well, like protection Aureus, just like Yufin. But just slightly different utility, right? Instead of blocking CR push, she blocks souls. So, you know, if you don't want to use her as a main DPS, you can use her as an Aureus holder. She's honestly not too bad as well, as an Aureus holder. Oh yeah, but this brings me back to the previous Balian build. So instead of the counter Elbris crit build, you can just go an Aureus build for your single Balian. So you don't really have to actually care about getting a second Balian if you don't have 3F. Unless you already have like everything else. Like for example, if you already have a 2 Strays, you have 2 Strays, you have a Zeo, you have Hasedi, you have Archdemon Shadow, and you have like nothing else to choose, then sure you can go for Balian, right? No problem. And then moving on to A tier, we have Zeo. I think Zeo doesn't really need a dupe, cause like you just build him effectiveness most of the time. 260 speed, 270 speed. Just basically that, right? But once again, luxury, right? If you want to have the luxury of choosing different builds, sure, you can go for Zeo. One effectiveness build or one full damage build, right? Because actually a full damage Zeo build is not too bad. I've seen it work before, it's really good. But nowadays, most people just run effectiveness, right? So if you want, you can go for a dupe Zeo. It's not that bad either. That's all we have for A tier, it's just Zeo. And moving on with a B tier, we have Hasedi and Archdemon Shadow. I honestly think you do not need to choose this as a dupe ever. Hasedi dupe, pointless. Maybe Destro, one Destro build, one injury build. But most of the time, you probably will never need the luxury of the choice of picking either build. So yeah, you can just leave that out. And then Archdemon Shadow, maybe a speed build and then a counter build. Honestly, the same as Hasedi, you don't really need to have the luxury to choose between the 2 builds most of the time. So honestly, I would just recommend getting like a Strays or Balian or Zeo imprint. You know, other than Hasedi or Archdemon Shadow dupe. Like for example, Strays, right? Like all these boss, actually, you can only get a single SSS copy of them, right? So for example, Strays, you really want imprints for him because his imprint is attack, right? And attack is really important for him. So for example, your first Strays is already triple S from the Gold Transmute Stones in the shop. And you need a second Strays. And your second Strays does have an imprint, right? So instead of choosing like Hasedi, Archdemon Shadow, Zeo, I think you can choose another Strays just to imprint your second Strays. That's what I'm gonna do most likely. Because I already have all 5 of these units. And it's either a Aureus Balian option for me or another Strays for my second Strays imprint. That's probably what I'm going to choose. So you can do that, you know, you can do that. I don't think I will do an imprint ML5 boss selector tier list, because all of them just requires Gold Transmute Stone. Except for the second Strays. I don't think you need imprints for second Balian. That's too much. That's too much to ask for. I think second Strays is the one that you want to focus on if you were to get an imprint. But other than that, the rest not really. So yeah, hopefully this rather short selector tier list help you guys decide what you want to choose for your ML5 boss selector. I know it's a bit late. Okay, not just a bit late. I know it's very late. But I did it as soon as possible, as quickly as I could. So, you know, hopefully it helps you guys choose what you need to choose. And if you have any questions, feel free to just ask me on the Discord or in the comment section below. I read and reply every comment that I think is replyable. So I hope this video was helpful, and see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, man.